Hey, if you're new to flash photography, chances are you're making at least a few of the following mistakes without even knowing it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what not to do with your flash and how to fix some of the common mistakes that beginners make. Let's start off with the first big mistake beginners make, and that's choosing the wrong flash to begin with. Look, when you're first starting out, it's easy to assume that you can just pick a flash that's in your price range and, think that you're good to go. But besides price, there are a lot of other things to consider when buying your first flash, especially if you want to expand your skills and continue to improve your flash photography. Now, you're choosing the wrong flash if it's not compatible with your camera. Your flash should, at the very least, be compatible with your camera. Now, different manufacturers implement features like TTL in their own ways. So if you have a Canon camera, get a flash made to work with Canon cameras. Sony, Nikon, the same thing. It doesn't have to be made by the same manufacturer as your camera. It's just got to be compatible. Another thing is you don't want a flash that lacks power. Make sure that your flash is powerful enough for the type of photography that you want to do. Avoid the cheap little flash units made, to take snapshots. If you're serious about getting good photos, get serious about your flash. Now, sometimes people rely on the so-called guide number rating of flash units to try to get an idea of flash power for a given flash. But I suggest you just do a little research and find out what's working well for other people. Most popular flash units are powerful enough for most of the things that you probably want to do, like taking photos of people in small groups. Another thing, don't get a flash that's missing important flash head features. Avoid getting a flash that doesn't have an adjustable flash head. When you've got your flash mounted to your camera, you'll sometimes just aim your flash straight ahead. But as you learn more about flash photography, you're going to want to adjust your flash head so that you can bounce the flash lighting off nearby walls and ceilings and other surfaces for more natural lighting effects. So make sure your flash has an adjustable flash head that tilts and rotates. And you also don't need a flash that's too expensive. Okay, flash units offered by Canon and Nikon and Sony, these are good, reliable investments, but they're also very expensive compared to third-party units from Godox and Flashpoint and Neewer and Yongnuo and some others. I've been really happy with my Godox and Flashpoint lights for years, and I'd recommend them if you want a good system to get started with. Once you start getting into multi-light off-camera flash, it can really get expensive if all your gear is camera name brand gear. The next big mistake beginners often make is only using straight ahead direct flash. Using direct flash, meaning pointing the flash directly at your subject, tends to create harsh light and shadows and sometimes red eye. I get it. The flash looks like it's designed to work this way. Mounted to your camera, and in its default configuration, the flash is pointed straight ahead. The only problem is it's not usually the best look for your photos. And, don't get me wrong, it sometimes looks fine if you're going for that snapshot or photo booth effect. But if you really want a more natural, pleasing, flattering light, you'll want to avoid direct flash, and you're going to use either a modifier or you're going to bounce your flash. And how do you bounce your flash? You bounce your flash by using that tilt and rotate feature that we talked about before. Or you can combine that with a modifier like a bounce diffuser like this. Point is, get the light from your flash to come in at different angles back toward your subject, instead of just aiming all that light straight ahead. The next mistake, relying only on TTL. Okay, TTL is a nice tool, and I actually prefer it over manual flash mode when my flash is mounted to my camera. In other words, when I'm using on-camera flash, I'm probably using TTL, even if I've got my camera itself in manual mode. TTL is great for run-and-gun work like events. Imagine a wedding reception where you're doing table photos or getting grab shots of guests. TTL is much easier and faster to use, especially for beginners and even for some pros in those types of situations. But over-relying on TTL and expecting perfect exposures in all situations is a big mistake. TTL flash control is only so good. It's sometimes incredibly accurate, but other times it can only do what it's designed to do, and sometimes it's going to over or underexpose if you're not careful. You can adjust TTL exposure with a setting called flash exposure compensation, but overall you're still kind of at the mercy of TTL's decision-making when you're using it. That's why learning how to use your flash in manual mode is so important. With manual flash, you can control the flash output basically via the manual power setting on your flash, and you can, control it in a more precise way than you can with TTL and flash exposure compensation. If you keep the distance between your flash and your subject from changing, it's better just to use manual flash instead of TTL. And this becomes especially true when you start getting serious with off-camera flash setups. Speaking of off-camera flash portrait setups, if you'd like to learn exactly how to set up your flash for portraits, including recommendations on the actual gear that I use, I highly recommend that you download my free guide, the 10-minute guide to off-camera flash. This is going to get you on the fast track to taking beautiful portraits with your flash. And this free bonus bundle also includes the very handy camera bag checklist, photo shoot notebook sheets, and a couple of model release templates that I use for my portrait shoots. Click the link in the video description below to get all of this for free. Another mistake beginners often make with flash photography is misunderstanding high-speed sync. Shooting with a shutter speed faster than your camera's sync speed without high-speed sync enabled causes part of your image to be blacked out. Why does this happen? Okay, your camera likely has a set flash sync speed, and that's the maximum shutter speed that you should use when using your flash in a normal way. An example of a common flash sync speed is 1/250th of a second. This means that during exposure, the camera's shutter is completely open for shutter speeds as fast as 1/250th of a second. Go any faster and the shutter mechanism sort of sweeps across the sensor, exposing it in sections instead of all at once. When your flash fires, that burst of light only lasts for a few milliseconds. So long story short, this creates a dark shadow or band across part of your image. If the flash lasted longer, covering the entire duration of that section by section exposure, your photo would look like a normal flash shot. To solve this problem, we use high-speed sync. And when you've got high-speed sync activated, instead of one super fast burst of light, the flash emits a much longer pulse of light. So now you can use shutter speeds of up to 1/8,000th of a second with your flash, and all should be good. This is great for any time you need to use higher shutter speeds. For example, like outdoors during the daytime. When you want to use those wide apertures, it forces you to use higher shutter speeds because everything is so bright in the scene. But say you want to add a little bit of flash for fill light, you can do it with high-speed sync. One thing you should be aware of is that when using high-speed sync, the flash power is usually reduced, so keep that in mind. Also, what's cool is with many flash units and compatible cameras, you can just leave the high-speed sync setting on, and it's only going to activate when you exceed those normal flash sync shutter speeds. If you're ready to take the next step, I've got a course called Flash Portraits Made Simple that walks you through from setting up your first light to building confident, creative lighting setups that you can use anywhere. Flash Portraits Made Simple is built for photographers who want to feel confident with flash, even if they've struggled with it before or they're just getting started. Inside, I walk you through all the fundamentals: off-camera flash setups, exposure settings, working in TTL and manual, plus how to build 5 of the most useful lighting patterns with just one flash. You'll see exactly how I do it in my own home studio and how you can do the same in your space, even if it's small. I've stripped out all the fluff and made it really easy to follow so you're not spending hours trying to decode technical jargon or watch 5 different videos to figure out where to start. You're also going to get bonus guides and cheat sheets to speed things up, and the course is on demand so you can learn at your own pace and refer back to it anytime. Okay, that's my short list of beginner mistakes where flash photography is concerned. Buying the wrong flash to begin with is obviously the one to avoid first. You want to make sure that you get a flash that works with your camera and that'll allow you to do more things as you become more advanced. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. It's about all I've got for you today. See you next time.